I'm Sean Waterman and you're watching FedScoop TV. Today, we're at the Security Through Innovation Summit and I'm joined now by Marianne Bailey, who is the Principal Director for Cybersecurity in the CIO's office at the Department of Defense. Marianne, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So let's start by the big question. Does the military finally have its arms around the cyber issue? Can it fight through a cyber attack?
So I'm sure you're well aware of this. So we have a huge network. Our network is global, right? Every day we are attacked all around the globe on our network, and every day we defend our network, and we defend our network very successfully. We have done a lot of things. That doesn't mean we stop. That doesn't mean we're done. So there's a lot of things that we're doing to make sure that we will continue to be able to protect our networks as our adversaries get more and more sophisticated. I'm sure you're very familiar with the stand-up of Cybercom approximately 6.5 years ago. We have things called cyber protection teams, which are implemented in our COCOMs to constantly respond to cyber attacks on our networks. We have cyber mission teams, which defend the nation. We have things called cyber defense service providers. So every single computer that's on our network is defended by a cyber defender. We're doing a lot of things in the cyber culture in the DoD to make sure that every IT professional knows that they have a cyber responsibility. And so there's a tremendous amount of initiatives that we're undertaking to make sure, A, we understand the threat, right? And that we are postured as best as we can to defend that threat. I would say today, if you ask this, our perimeter is defended like we've never had it defended before. We're doing things across our network to make our networks more homogeneous across the services. So you've probably heard of Joint Information Environment and Joint Regional Security Stacks,
yes,
which are common regional security centers, technologies throughout our network that gives us visibility that we have not had before about what's going on in our networks. And then, of course, we're always looking at endpoint security and how do we button up the endpoint security. And so we're doing a lot of things across the department, and I think we're in great shape, and we'll just continue pushing that.
And to measure that, you recently rolled out the DoD Cybersecurity Scorecard. Can you talk a little bit about that? Tell us about that.
Absolutely. So that's actually been very exciting, and it's kind of multifaceted. It's if you look at any of the recent or even intrusions over the last decade, you'll see that the large majority of them are attributed to someone not implementing basic cybersecurity. And so in the department we said, okay, enough is enough, right? It is time for us to really full court press on implementing the cybersecurity basics. And so the Secretary of Defense rolled out his cyber strategy last year. Very quickly after that, the Cybersecurity Discipline Implementation Plan, a lot of things to say, right, was rolled out. And then we rolled out the Cyber Scorecard to start measuring all of the services and all of the agencies and how they're doing with basic cybersecurity. It's been really interesting. The first time we've really had this high-level view of how the entire department is doing on things like every internet-facing web server is behind a DMZ. Every user logs on with a PKI, authenticated user. All legacy software, like Windows 2003 servers is off the network, right? Windows XP is off the network, things like that. So kind of simple things, but huge impact and implemented on a broad scale. So the other facet, not just raising the technology bar in our networks, but it is accountability and cyber culture. So when you have the user and the system administrator that's playing a role in doing his job appropriately, the user by logging on appropriately, understanding phishing, all this kind of stuff, system administrator making sure he's administering the networks properly, all the way through every chain, up to the Secretary of Defense who's looking at that scorecard every month and saying, okay, how are you doing? And then come tell me why you're not doing this well. It's a great accountability chain. So now cybersecurity is very important. Everybody understands they have to do it. They're reporting up to their boss, who's reporting up to their boss, all the way up to the SecDef on how they're implementing these things. And then the other aspect of it, and it's because of that whole accountability chain, is that it's driving a culture of cybersecurity all the way through the department. People know it is their job, right? They have to do it. It's important, and we all have to participate in this.
That's fascinating. Thank you. And but let me finish then by asking you about cyber as a threat. We've talked about cyber as a threat. What about as an opportunity? I mean, the US military clearly has a technological edge, historically has had a technological edge over all its adversaries, actual and potential. Is cyber helping it maintain that? What's going on there? Because it's also asymmetric, isn't it? You've
Correct.
got actors out there that are empowered by this. So how does that equation balance out in your view?
So I'm going to answer that question a little more generally. So
Okay.
technological advances, whether we're talking in cyber or in anything, I mean, my background is engineering. I always believe they're extremely beneficial. I think you absolutely have to understand them, right? You have to know their limitations. You have to know the vulnerabilities they bring. You have to know the opportunities they provide. And you have to operate in that, in that sphere so that you understand it. I agree with you. I think we're just kind of on the cutting edge of a lot of this cyber opportunities. And I think we're going to see where that goes. But I think it's a good thing.
Okay, thanks very much for dropping by, Marianne.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
I'm Sean Waterman. You've been watching FedScoop TV.